Welcome, everyone, to the long-awaited post-election episode of Sass and the Beard. Kristen, I was really sad because over the past however many years we've been doing this, we've done like election night coverage, but both of us were just like,
oh my gosh, my job has gotten so much more demanding around elections than it used to be, which is, I love, but it was just not an option this year. The thing I hated was I missed the things we usually do on election. Like we usually go have breakfast and then we go and we do the election night coverage. Like that part I missed as far as just, hanging with my friend. But I really hated that we didn't get to do the candidate forums for people. Yeah. Because I love that we have always done that to let people know what's happening with their local races and stuff.
Because the local is where it's at.
It really is. Yeah. And so, I hated that we missed that, but I'm glad we're back now.
I saw an interview with Pete Buttigieg, and he said that specifically, someone had asked him, what do we do now? Because of their frustrations over the election. And he said, look, politics is a long game. You've got people that are becoming senators now started out as city council members or mayors or county whatever. Yeah. And he said, so, focus on local, keep your, those are the things that affect your day-to-day life more so than anything that happens. So, yeah.
It's so true. And, in Arkansas, we actually did pretty well. For my job, it's really just about getting everybody out to vote. It's not really about who wins or loses. And we did see some increases in early voting, and so that was really wonderful. Election day was hard. It rained, and that's always I swear, rain is God's own voter suppression. I hate it because you can't do anything about it. You can't predict it months in advance. There's just. And when it rains, people don't show up to vote. And so that happened for Arkansas, but we did see, in our early voting at least, that there was an increase in voter participation. There was an increase in voter registration this year. We had some really promising things, on the progressive side of organizing outside of my job. We saw that for the first time in 15 years, Democrats didn't lose any ground in the state legislature. Before we can start winning, we got to stop losing. And so that's a positive. And we did flip one House seat for a state representative in Northwest Arkansas from a Republican to a Democrat. And in that seat, it was the first Latina woman elected to the state legislature. Yeah. Also in the first ever majority Latino district.
Gotcha.
So that's a big win.
Well, and when in the national polling, that Hispanic culture has shifted to the right, it's nice to see that, in their community, they voted for a Democrat.
Well, so often, that's part of why we do this show is that, getting involved in local government is so rarely partisan, right?
Yeah,
casino
absolutely.
issue that we've dealt with for years here is a perfect example. There are people from both sides of the political aisle who are for and against. People who were good for, I have people who I was friends with because we were both all liberals or whatever that have unfriended me because of the casino issue because they're just so against it. And that's okay, but now I guess it's not so much a problem.
Maybe you could be friends again.
I'm good. I'm solid, thanks. We good. Stay.
The only thing that city and county folks should be concerned about are potholes and regulations on, zoning and that kind of stuff. Things that I get to focus on every day, not whatever's happening in the national realm. You have to know what's going on in some of those areas because different administrations come different rules and regulations for your municipality, but it doesn't have anything to do with the day-to-day, workings of government. So
yeah, totally. So how are you doing post-election?
Well, I think if we'd have had the show last week, it would have been bad.
I know when y'all started texting, like, are we doing a show? I was just like, one, I had the most violent hangover. Like I was like, I am not. It took a whole day to sleep off the hangover. I was like, I'm not capable of this. Like, I appreciate y'all's energy, but I could not do it.
It took me a couple of days. There were a lot of crazy things going on, like not in my life specifically, but just around. Like people were like breaking up their relationships. People were like not talking to their parents or withholding their children from their parent. Like there was a lot of like, look, everybody just needs to calm down. Like, don't like. Mostly it was the folks who had voted for Trump that were mad. And I was like, why are you mad? You won. Like, give them a day or two. Like,
yeah,
take a break and give them some space. So I was dealing with a lot of that, which made it worse for me because I was like, I don't like. Why are you coming at me? Like, just because I'm the safe Democrat doesn't mean I'm not upset. Like, I'm gonna be mad at you too.
I know.
You know, like
it's hard because, like, I mean, I remember like the first like really big like election I got into, and how emotional I was at the end of it. And now, many years later, I'm like,
yeah,
just hang around, like just.
Well, at this point, as a millennial, we've seen a whole lot of like, this is the worst it could be. This is the worst it could be. No, this is the worst it could be. From 9/11 to, now. There's just been a lot of like, this is the last election we'll ever have.
Well, my son texted me and he was like, all right, seriously, Mom, like, can we move to Canada? And I was like, son, I work in Arkansas politics.
It's okay.
These skills don't really
like what am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do in Canada? He was like, you could work at like, I don't know, a restaurant or something. And I was like, yeah, my body, no, I'm not in the right kind of shape for that. Like, that's a hard physical job. I sit at a desk and like run numbers. I can't go to Canada. I'm sorry. Unless they want to start, I don't know, doing some Arkansas state legislature shit in Canada. I can show up and do that, I guess.
I will say I haven't gotten through the full, like, whatever the stages of grieving are. Like, I'm in apathy right now. Like, let it burn at this point. Like,
yeah.
This week and today, I'm focusing on me and my family. Like, I have empathy, like, in the grander scheme of, like, what's going on day to day. But, like, miss me with your worries and concerns about the future if you voted to have this. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that when it comes to... So recently there's been a lot of drama in the Charleston area, like the Franklin County area, because poof, there's going to be a prison.
There's a pop-up prison. Yeah. Like, they do like pop-up bars and like pop-up Christmas shopping experience. Now there's a pop-up prison. It's very exciting.
And I've seen a lot of concern and frustration on social media. I know you have too. We've talked about it. And about like, this just came out of nowhere. And like,
yeah, there's a lot. Well, and you talk about the apathy, like,
yeah,
but that's, for me, like, I don't think, I wasn't real surprised by the national results. Like,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
like, I didn't really have as much grief, I think, as a lot of people, because I wasn't incredibly surprised that this was how it turned out. But, like, for me, it's very much like we have to take care of the next thing, right? Like, we can't quit. We can't just quit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've never been that person. I don't care what you throw at me. Like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep fighting. Like, I'm never the person that's like, I just give up. I quit. I can't do anything. Like, and so...
Yeah. I've always been, like, the quote from The West Wing, like, what's next?
Yeah.
Like,
and so, what are we doing? We lost. We need to learn from it. It's an opportunity to learn and grow and try to do better next time and see where, things change. I don't put a lot of stock into these early projections that come out because they're not based on data. They're just based on like
Emotion.
anecdotal, like
Yeah.
what you're experiencing. And so, we won't know why some of the things happened that happened until several months from now. But like one thing I do know is that in January, the legislative session will start in Arkansas. No matter what happens.
Right.
January 13th, the legislative session is going to start.
And there'll be like 3,500 bills go through in a 3 or 4 month time period.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you think it's been bad,
Yeah.
like it's about to get worse.
Yeah.
And so, like all of this to me, it's like I need to take some time to focus on like my self-care while I have a minute to do that, because I know that come January, it's back to work, right? So like, I don't have time to be like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm so upset. I'll never again. Like, there's work to do, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep doing it. And I hope other people keep doing it with me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal is to,
Yeah.
that's why we do this, is to get people. So let's talk about the pop-up prison.
Before we do that, let's
No?
talk about our sponsors.
Oh, yes. Dog Ear Books actually has a special. And we're hoping to see.
Yeah, like there's a special little ad
Like-
going to roll because they have 20% off box sets at Dog Ear Books right now.
So if you have a favorite author and they happen to have the box set in stock.
or you're looking for a great Christmas present, we're pretty
Yeah.
early. I've
You
had
know
my
what's
trees
better
today.
than one book in a series?
A whole box
The
set.
whole series.
Yes, 20% off at Dog Ear Books. Like, get it. And Retro Roast.
Yes.
If you come in to get your book set,
Your
you can
white girl coffee.
Go back to the back and get you some coffee. They got
Listen,
the fall menu.
They
out.
got black girl coffee. They got white dude coffee. They got black dude coffee. They got brown. They got all of the coffees.
But
the races of coffees.
Nathan is
Drinks.
here for the white girl.
I drink coffee like a white girl. Yes, and no offense to white girls.
Although
I love your coffee.
can't say anything. I'm having a hot chocolate with oat milk.
Yeah. Whoa, bro. Yeah.
Wild, because I can't drink caffeine this late. So wanna shout out to our sponsors. But now the pop-up prison, it's a complicated issue because I do feel for the people in that community, right, that were surprised by this, that didn't get to have any input on a prison coming to their community in Charleston. That it was just like, surprise, here you go.
Yeah.
And I think it's really frustrating when you go back and look at some of the like legislative hearings where legislators were directly asking, where are we looking at? And they're
Right.
like, yeah. So I mean, there's gonna be
Wherever the cheapest property is.
and then all of a sudden it's like this one.
Yeah.
And like I can respect why people are concerned, but also there's a real part of me that's like, y'all voted for this shit, right? Like
Right.
you voted for Sarah, you voted for Stubblefield, your senator, like
The AG.
and y'all don't have a problem with building another prison and incarcerating more people, even though our state has one of the highest rates of incarceration of any state. If we were a country, if every state was its own country, Arkansas would be 11th in the world for incarceration per capita. Out of every country in the world, and if you took every state in America and made it its own country, 11th in the world, Arkansas has the highest rate of incarceration. That's insane. And we're like, let's build a new prison because,
we don't have enough room.
because right now we can't lock up misdemeanors. We can't lock up people for misdemeanors. That's what they said. Once we get a new prison built, we'll be able to lock up people for misdemeanors because that's the goal, right? Like, that's fantastic. That's what we need. And nobody had a problem with that, right? And a lot of the folks who have a problem with this prison coming to Charleston are like, we don't want it too close to our kids' school. But would you have a problem if it was in Pine Bluff? By those kids' school? Like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of sympathy for the not in my backyard bullshit when you voted for this.
You preaching, girl. You preaching. Yes. So quit voting for people who don't have your best interest in like this is what happens. And again, this is not without sympathy to say, these are the natural consequences to the actions of the votes that have been cast for the last 10, 15 years in Arkansas. So if you want different results, you got to pick different people. And I'm not saying that the Democrats are better. I think they're better, than this. But I'm
saying the Democrats
would
be like,
perfect.
Let's build a new 3,000 bed prison. I don't think that'd be our top priority.
No.
I don't know. Maybe let's fund some schools.
Right, or deal with food insecurity for the 1/4.
Right, maybe let's provide some free meals.
Kid.
Maybe let's make sure the people who have a baby have postpartum health care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe we address some of those things before we try to lock up people for misdemeanors.
Or maybe some of the reasons for recidivism and it being incarcerated in the first place, like poverty, lack of education, lack of food, lack of all of those things, job growth.
Somebody said on my TikTok, they said, I like that we are in the find out phase of other people's fucking around. That is absolutely accurate. I'm opposed to them building another prison. I think that
we don't support them putting one in Charleston.
I don't support them putting one
anywhere.
Because I think there are a lot of other solutions that should be addressed.
But I guarantee you, if you look at the voting records from Franklin County, just like many of the other counties in Arkansas, you will see 75% of the people voted for Donald Trump or Sarah Sanders or Gary Stubblefield. All of the people who are responsible for this that are... Instead of having public tax provided institutions, we are giving away to the private institutions so that they can make money off of our government.
Yep.
And that your tax dollars go to that. That's what you have voted for when you vote for the Republican Party.
Yeah, and then they came through this last week and passed a new rule to say that Democrats cannot chair or vice chair any committees in the state legislature.
Minority party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they tried to do that last session, but they waited until right before session started, and there was this big kind of public pushback, and they had to drop it. Mm-hmm. So this time they did it during their organizational meeting when everybody's so exhausted from the election that there's nobody has the energy to push back at this point. And so they just railroaded it through. And I thought that, Democrats made a good point in the state legislature when this happened to say that even in D.C., the minority party vice chairs every committee, regardless of who is majority, who's minority. And
I thought what Clark Tucker said was spot on. Petty. We're being more petty than they are in Washington.
And other Democrats spoke up as well. I put Clark's clip on my TikTok, but there were several others that spoke up as well. You know what was funny about that video of Clark, of Senator Tucker? When I posted it, I realized I have this other video of him that was kind of the first one that I put out. That
went super viral.
Yeah, and I have it pinned. Well, I looked, he's wearing the exact same suit and tie in the original one, and that one from 2 years ago, and this one, and I texted him a screenshot, and I was like, is this just your sassy suit? What is this? I know, I was like, do I need to always watch out? Whatever day you wear this suit, that I need to be ready.
Yeah.
This is, it's his sassy suit. I like it. No, Senator Tucker's amazing. He's a wonderful person, and he always speaks to this kind of stuff. So, anyways, there's been a lot happening in Arkansas politics in just the last week. Yesterday, there was this big press conference that everybody was like, oh my God, is she getting appointed to something? What's happening? And then it was just a press conference.
Oh, and there was so much drama. I got 30 text messages what's she going to say? What's going to happen? Yeah.
It literally could have been an email.
Yeah.
It was a press conference. It could have been an email.
Also, she was like, my dad is doing this thing. And it's like, wait, you call a press conference to talk about your dad?
Well, no, she was 15 minutes late to talk about her dad.
Mm-hmm.
But then she came in and was just like, yes, we're raising base pay for these positions, which is great.
Yes.
Folks are not being paid enough as state employees. Like, there is no problem. I am not down on it at all. Like,
But
people,
to pay for it,
but then she said,
we're going to fire like 3/4 of the staff.
but then she said, now we're not giving them
2/3,
any additional money
Yeah.
to pay for these raises. They just have to find it in their existing budget. And part of how they'll do that is by consolidating positions. 2,200 positions down to 800 positions. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if I get a raise and they're like, fun fact, you're going to have to do 2 other people's job now also.
Because we fired both of your...
It doesn't feel
partners.
like a raise so
Yeah.
much. It feels like a second job.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like a raise that's supposed to be catching them up to where they should be.
Yep.
Not even like a raise to like give them a boost because they've done such a great job. No, it's a raise to like get them to where they should have already been. But there's no new money for it.
Well, I mean, maybe there would have been new money if they hadn't have given away another tax cut to
Nope,
the
that's not how.
richest
Yeah, no.
tenth of 1%.
But I did see that they're increasing base pay for corrections officers. So if you live
Well,
near
yeah, because they're about to build another prison.
if you live near Charleston, there's some good paying jobs coming your way.
Gonna boost the local economy.
You're only going to get about 40% staffing, but that's all right. You'll be paid well.
This is the bad place.
It is the bad place.
Just like with the whole casino thing, like, why is it that, and it seems like in so many other areas, the minority has so much power, like, to do their worst. You know, the people in Polk County voted against issue 2. A majority of the voters said, no, we do want the casino. We've already, the casino's already been decided. We are ready for it to get started. Get this mess out of here. But the rest of the state, after being lied to and tricked and told that it was all about local control, voted not in such a majority, but a majority for issue 2. So just like when it's like exactly the opposite of what happened in 2018, and now we don't have a casino because
People
this
keep asking.
minority group of people were like, we didn't get to sell our land, or we don't want this thing because of religious issues, or I'm mad because they chose a different vendor, or the judge is crooked because he accepted this, or whatever. Like, for whatever their reason for being anti-casino, they were not in the majority of the community.
No, they they like to talk about how the majority of Polk County voted against the casino, but now the majority of Polk County voted for the casino against issue 2, and so I'm just waiting for them to rescind their amendment. Like, I mean, right? Like, that
was the whole point, right? Of
Yeah.
the amendment was we have a local vote. That was their whole reason for being.
Yes.
Local voters in charge. Local voters in charge. Like, they should have just said local grumpy butts in charge.
Yep.
Like,
Somebody said in TikTok, do you think they'll cut the Dem employees on the state employee list? Let me tell you.
they could get sued for that.
They will not explicitly.
Yeah.
They won't say it's that.
Yeah, they will give a different reason, I would imagine.
One thing that's interesting, though, this is just like fun fact, is the folks who work in the legislature. Sometimes you'll see them in the background, like when we post, like I'll post a video, like the one of Clark Tucker or whatever. You can see somebody sitting in the background. They are required to keep their face neutral. They could lose their job if their facial expressions indicate their opinion, which is why I will never be allowed.
For them,
There's not enough Botox in the world.
Yeah.
I'll never be allowed to work in one of those positions because my face would be back there going.
There would be many TikToks made about you. You would be the This is bullshit, girl, on TikTok. That would be your title.
Look, and I got so much Botox right now, and I still can't control my face. Like,
It'd be like Ted Cruz's teenage daughter or whatever, just like, ew.
Yeah. Are you monitoring our Facebook comments?
Yeah, no.
No, he's
yeah,
like, yeah, no, I'm not. No,
I am.
Yes, I'm not.
I am monitoring. Ashley says, hey, Franklin County, you get what you vote for. F around and find out.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
And then Dylan says, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just hard for me to feel much for that right now.
I mean, I have empathy.
I do.
And there is frustration but like we have dealt with so much frustration recently. And I feel like in Polk County or at least in Russellville, we've had a lot of success, in not trying to be about a specific agenda other than like to help do things that are needed for people. Like we're not trying to turn Russellville blue or make all of the things, super lib. Like we're just trying to pave the streets and bring more businesses to Russellville, like we're not on some national agenda. Like we want progress.
And to be nice to people.
Right. And to not be assholes.
Like, can we just be nice? I mean, I'm not nice, but like, I'm nice to people in need. I'm like, Can we just punch
like if
up
someone comes
down,
to the city council because they need a variance or a new zone, and they're taxpayers just like you or me, but there's no litmus test to whether or not you get that. Did you follow the rules? Someone was complaining the other day to me that developers were moving from Russellville to go to Dardanelle because of all of the codes and the enforcement of the codes. Because it's not like we haven't had codes before. We just hadn't had someone there to enforce them. But now we're enforcing them because over the last 3 or 4 years, the city has spent tens of millions of dollars paying for drainage issues that were previously not the fault of the city, but of the developers that built those residential areas. But because no one enforced the codes 30 years ago when all those homes were built, they just did whatever the hell they wanted to do. But now they're making them follow rules. They're like, well, we're going to Dardanelle. Okay.
Good luck.
Okay.
Listen, I live in Dardanelle. Show me all those developers and where they're landing.
Exactly.
It is not over there.
Speculate on your thoughts of how successful the casino will or will not be with their lawsuit. Well, not successful.
Today
so far.
Yeah. So issue 2 was scheduled to go into effect today, and the courts did decline to issue any kind of temporary injunction or restraining order to halt that. So it did go into effect. The case is still ongoing, but I don't foresee it. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have any it's over.
This would be the federal Supreme, the whatever district of the U.S. Supreme Court. You don't have any
I think it's over.
That there's any kind of argument to be made, with the local, how it. No. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just, know more than I do.
I mean, I wish,
usually.
I wish I had better news, but I think it's over. I think that the system worked exactly as it's designed, right? So, we have this structure that's supposed to say that you can't have a ballot title that means a vote yes is actually a no or a no is actually a yes, right? That's the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
But that's exactly what came through.
Right.
But we saw that across the board.
Why is that not something that can be adjudicated? someone has to be able to say officially that that's what, like, literally every person, like, except for the people who were in favor of issue 2, like, supporting it, can read that and go, local control. But no, that's not what it was doing. What it was doing was repealing, like, there are people who didn't know what a tariff was. You're telling me they can tell the difference between yes or no on an issue that's for or against?
Well, here's the thing I want to point out, and I probably shouldn't, but I had a couple of drinks before I came over here, so I'm going to. I just want to point out, look, I love Legends, and I am very upset with this outcome. Like, I want this casino to be here. I think it's really important for our economy, and I think it's going to be really hard for us to recover from this.
Yeah.
However, I'm so fucking tired of everybody being like, we should just play nice all the time.
Yeah, no.
Like, when we went hard, they never made it to the ballot. Okay? And then they came and did a bunch of bullshit to try to make it look bad so that they wouldn't go hard again. And so then they didn't. They were nice because they're good people. And I'm so tired of playing nice. I'm so fucking tired of playing nice. Like, I want to go as hard as they go.
Well, because they're not like the opposition at pretty much any level is not, like, they're not even being like, we are trying to make things happen to be nice to, like, citizens and our neighbors and our community.
Oh, I want to be good
and job growth
to
and
regular
production.
people.
But, like, they just want to sell their property or to keep their property value high. Like well, that's and for whatever reasons, they're all selfish, you know? Like that.
And to me, it's like, do we want to fucking win?
Right.
Do we want to win? Or do we want to be nice? Because I don't think we can be both.
Yeah.
But that's what we keep doing. We keep saying, no, we're going to be nice.
We can be nice after the game is over. You know, if we're gonna treat this like sports, like when we're on the field.
They don't play nice.
Yeah.
They play vicious. And I'm here for it. Like, you want to go low? Let's fucking drag it to hell. I'm here for it. I'm ready. Let's go. I'll go lower. But no, we don't want to do that. They go low, and we'll be like, oh, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them, and then we don't do shit. We believe in the promise of America and what it could be. No.
I mean, I do believe in the promise of America and what it could be, but it's not that right now. And
did you just fall out of a coconut tree? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, I grew up watching The West Wing, okay? And listen, Joshua Lyman, Sam Seaborn, and President Jeb Bartlett, okay? That's my president.
Right. I'm reading comments. I'm angry.
Oh yeah, he was sad about it, right?
Yeah.
He was Judge Cross.
Yes.
I thought you meant like the judge that was like, no, sorry, we can't.
No, Judge Cross.
Yeah, I'm talking about the court judge.
The Pope County judge, Ben Cross.
I'll read Pope County judge's statement. He said, in what is undoubtedly the epitome of irony, Pope County voters definitively made their voices heard once and for all on the casino issue by soundly defeating issue 2 in our county. While 74 other counties once again decided an issue for us, it is interesting to note that those closest to the issue, our neighboring counties, likewise defeated issue 2. The fact issue 2 was defeated in Polk County does provide an affirmation that all the hard work, that Legends Resort and Casino devoted to investing in our region was validated in this election. To my fellow mayors, city councils, JPs, business owners in our community, thank you for your steadfast support of this project. In the second aspect of irony, the very group that advocated for local control effectively ripped it away in this election by running a $17 million anti-casino campaign with another casino's money. And then he goes on to talk about other things and how this will affect our local infrastructure, and it's going to be a lot harder.
Yes, it's going to be harder. It's fudge.
Yeah, like for those of you who complain about us having to pass a 1 cent sales tax extension,
The annexation passed.
like all you anti-casino people better vote for the extension of the 1 cent sales tax. Or like we're not going to be able to abort these potholes.
Well, I just ate an edible, so I think I'm ready to shut it down and go home tonight before this kicks in.
Oh my God.
I did.
Nathan exists in the context of all that came before him. Yes, I do. I do. I definitely exist in that context. So, the world is not over. The apocalypse hasn't happened yet. There's probably been some trumpets or something blown or some kind of signs that we missed, but we're still here. I don't know if it's the 1,000 years yet, and we're like, if it happened and you are still here, you definitely didn't get caught up. So you're here with the rest of us.
Heathens. All of you.
The 1,000-year reign or whatever. So, all right. Well, we will try to be back next week.
Listen, I'm all bets are off at this point. I could be drunk next week. I don't know what's going to happen.
Listen, I do appreciate the fact that so many of you came back to watch after us being gone for a couple of weeks.
I so much appreciate
And
it. But I'm going home to put up my Christmas tree, decorate. It's Christmas movie season. I don't give a shit. Judge me. It's happening. I'm ready. I'm over it.
Shop at your local businesses, Dog Ear Books, Joshua's Fine Jewelry, Retro Roast. We need you to stay open and, hopefully buy our own Christmas presents and groceries. So, price of eggs are going to go through
If that
the roof.
shit ain't down next week, I'm going to be pissed.
I'm going to get some stickers that say, like, I did that,
Right.
Be like, yeah. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please share this video with your friends and let them know what's going on locally. And we'll see y'all next time.